Thanks for the great intro. I'm super excited to be here. I know I was really happy that David asked me to come up and speak about experience design. I recognize a few of you from Twitter, from your avatars, at least I think I do. And speaking of Twitter, if you, by all means, definitely feel free to tweet the status of the talk, good or bad. I like to go back afterwards and kind of troll through it and see how I did. And I was going to add a hashtag to this first slide to use, but I didn't know if you guys had a specific one, so use whichever you feel makes sense.
Interact Seattle.
Interact Seattle. Thanks. And so my title, a little bit about me, experience director at Ascentium out of the Portland office. Been with the agency for about 2.5 months. And prior to Ascentium, as a Wagner Edstrom for close to 2 years, led their UX team for their Studio D digital arm, which I'm thankful to have someone here, I won't point around, from my team. Tonight's talk is on experience design, titled Changing Lives and Creating Evangelists, and that's a really pretty bold title. It's something that is bold for a reason. And a little bit about me really quickly through this picture. This is a picture that I took that speaks, you can kind of get to know me a little bit through it. I took this picture secretively at a Starbucks. I want this guy to be my grandpa. He is just a phenomenal guy. My wife told me that this is me in 30 years. Yeah, hopefully longer. I don't age very well, apparently. So I'm going to dive right in, and let's start with, this might be a little tricky running off two machines. It's experience design. Let's start with what is experience design. Right now in the industry, we're in a really exciting time where I feel like there's a lot of confusion, frankly, around titles, roles. What is experience design? What is UX? What is social design? What is content design? How does psychology play into it? Agencies are really trying to grasp digital as a whole. Where do they play in with digital versus traditional, et cetera? So it's really an interesting landscape. And in order to really get a feel for experience design in this talk and how I'm defining it, we really need to take a step back and talk about design in general. And design is everything. Everything is design. So up here you see your traditional design outlets: advertising, environmental, product, industrial, interaction, digital, social, print, mobile, and identity. And within those, obviously, you can drill down. Within product design, you have consumer electronic. Within traditional, you have packaging, point of purchase. Within interaction, you still have digital kiosks at airports, etc. You have physical interactions. So within each of these, the matrix gets very deep, very fast. You can drill down into each of these, and you can see where it can become confusing for anybody that wants to be in this field from a career aspect, as well as leadership at agencies, and even startups, freelance designers as well, really trying to articulate what is experience design, how do I play into it, and how am I adding to design and adding to society as a whole. So these traditional outlets, when they engage their audience through experiences, they have traditionally done those in silos. And it even gets tricky when they talk about audience. So what you have is each design element, or each design channel, sorry, this is kind of crazy. So each channel creates an experience for their audience that's unique to that channel traditionally. So you have a product or service, sometimes both. A company could be both. Their product could be a service, such as Mint.com. That essentially, if it's a digital offering, for example, they have something that they want to sell or get buy-in, get adoption. They push that through an experience that they determine they want to create, and they push it to the end consumer. And then that is their experience, their user experience that they work with. So it's traditionally, again, you see these in silos. You're starting to see pretty good overlap. I'll talk about that in a second. You're starting to see a little bit better true integrated media. I still think that companies are struggling with how do you have integrated media across all touch points from end to end with a consumer. You'll see lots of times you'll see two different channels being used for a consumer, one at the beginning, one at the end. For example, you might see a digital channel used initially to engage the audience that promotes a traditional offline channel in the end. So you might have, for example, AT&T retail stores using digital to communicate a new promotion. That's the beginning, but the end of it is actually trying to get the user in the store to purchase. So if you drill into one of these as an example, going back to them pushing, that they have something they want to sell, they push it through an experience, they push it to the audience. If you go to, let's use digital as an example. In the digital space, you have whatever product or service they're selling, they have a user experience that they're creating for their audience, and through that user experience, they're pushing their product or service to the end user. And that user experience, that experience in digital is called user experience. It's informed by different practices such as UI, user interface, interaction design, information architecture, several others. And then you can have other elements, other channels play into that as well in smaller ways such as social or mobile. But this is how, within the digital space, you traditionally see experience design described. It's user experience. Your audience, they're called users. You do heuristic evaluations. Every time you talk about it, it's always about the user experience. If you talk about the experience from a channel of environmental design, your audience is different. You describe your audience as customers. So you're talking about a customer experience, which is informed by information architecture in the physical world, point of purchase, emotional design. It can tie into other channels such as product, print, advertising, interaction. So this is just two examples of drilling down into these traditional channels that we talk about. And you can see how quickly the matrix can get deep and how quickly it can become confusing when you're talking about what is experience design. If I'm a digital designer, I talk about experience design from a user experience standpoint within that lens of I create experiences for online or digital. If I'm a traditional designer, I'm creating customer experiences. So you can start to see where there could probably be some disconnect. And why this is really important is that within these traditional channels, again, they're usually pushing out experiences in siloed formats. And what they're doing is they're starting with what is it that we do? We do digital. We know digital. That's what we do. That's a channel we're going to talk to our consumer with. We're going to push our experience out through digital. How we're going to do that is obviously through the user experience, and the why I intentionally put on the outside is because we need to reach our consumers. We need to increase sales. We need to increase our numbers, etc. And this model here is based off of, it's kind of my own adaptation of Start With Why from Simon Sinek. I know one of you is familiar with that, who actually turned me on to that model a couple weeks ago. But the importance of starting with why is really critical here. So in traditional channels, really key to know that you're starting with what it is that we do, how can we deliver it through channel, how are we going to do that through user experience, why are we doing it? Well, we obviously want to increase adoption rate, want to increase market share, want to increase our numbers. So what a good experience design is it's doing the reverse. It's starting with why. Why is it that you make the product that you make? Why is it that you make the service that you make? And then from there you move out from the center to how, and then to the what. So why are we making this product? How are we going to make it? How are we going to deliver it? And what's the outcome of that? And actually I jumped ahead a little bit too soon. So it's really important to define this within an individual channel that we talked about. So within advertising, for example, you could flip the model and you could, within a specific channel, say, let's actually go back to digital. Within our digital offering, let's let's really focus on the why, the how is the user experience, and the what is a new product. And you can flip that model within that individual channel, but it's really critical to take that model and extend it across all of your touch points with your customers, with your audience, and really make it about a holistic experience. And that's what I'm talking about tonight, is this holistic experience design. And so what needs to happen is, instead of this model where you have the traditional experiences siloed, each one having their own definitions in terms around what experience we're pushing out and why, you come to a model of bringing all of these channels into a holistic experience design. And at the center of this experience design is the human. And I intentionally am calling him the human instead of audience, instead of user, instead of customer. It's human. The reason why is it's human experience design. It's a level above experience design as well. It's putting the human at the center. The human is the why. The experience could be through any of these channels. The experience could be through industrial, identity, environmental, product, etc. And then the what is just the outcome of how you sell that experience into the channel. So a lot of times, within interaction design, actually, I want to get a quick show of hands. How many people here are user experience designers? Awesome. How many people here are designers? And then are you traditional, print? What would you classify yourself?